Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Going to sit here for just a minute or two while I wait for some people to file in. Of course, we're going to be looking at the current setup, and I want to do a live stream because things are extremely tight on the 15-minute time frame, and we're going to see a break within the next hour, in my opinion. And I don't want to miss it while uploading and doing all that processing. So we'll get going in just a couple minutes. So lots of FUD today, and just pick your article. You know, you have some people saying it's because of this and because of that. Binance potential hack rumor already coming out. No hack. Everything's been returned. Everything's fine on Binance. So that's blown over. We have the potential for the SEC to require exchanges to get a license. That's good news in my opinion. The more legitimacy in the space, the more trusted these exchanges can be, the more people are going to adopt them. And again, that's a point that I made earlier in the chat room where I have never once in 8 years been worried about my funds in my Fidelity account disappearing. And you get a story every single day where, you know, yeah, some of it's people, their own fault, but it's very scary. If you imagine you're anywhere, you know, you're a baby boomer or whatever generation, and if you do something wrong and click the wrong button, you could lose all of your funds. That is a huge risk. Not only are you taking on the risk of the volatility of cryptocurrencies, you're taking on the risk of not having a secure account. And yeah, it might seem easy for us that have been in this space for months and, you know, have been researching it all, but just in reference to the general public, we need to have exchanges that there is no risk of anything in order to have big money get involved and to have the general public feel more comfortable. I would have more money in my cryptocurrency exchange right now if it were as reliable as another account like Fidelity or like Bank of America or whatever. It's just the way that it is in terms of the psychology. And yeah, you know, technically you could make all these arguments on how it is more secure and all this, but I'm just talking about the general psychology of the population of the world. And it's a very scary place when you can lose all of your funds in one mistake. So that's a potential FUD. Another one was Japan potentially shutting down exchanges. Who knows? Again, all these articles are coming out at this point in time because we rejected from resistance, in my opinion. They're being magnified. They're being intentionally, in my opinion, they're being intentionally timed. You know, we didn't have any FUD when the bulls were in control. We rejected from resistance. We started pulling back hard. The bears had their way with it for a day, and then to get that magnified move to the downside, we get a bunch of bearish articles scaring a bunch of people and causing the price to dump real quickly. So here we are in the 15-minute time frame, and we can form even another higher low right now. This pattern is going to break sooner rather than later. It's extremely tight. We have our low of the dump, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high, higher low. The range right now is 9,712, and resistance is 9,872. So it's about a $160 range that I'm keeping an eye on. And we're going to see a clear break. If we get a bull break, we're going to be looking at a target, potentially the hourly exponential resistances. The hourly 12-period resistance dropping down, the exponential, that's currently above 10,000. We have multiple hourly inside bars to be watching, of course. On the shorter term time frames, when you have an equilibrium, if you zoom out, they're going to likely show up as inside bars. So that's what we have on Bitcoin's hourly. Look at the volume completely dropping off as the range tightens. That's very normal as well. Look for a volume spike to be associated when this break does occur. Again, likely within an hour. I'd probably say within 45 minutes, but I'm not going to box myself in. I currently have a Litecoin position, and I'll go over it. I've traded it a couple times on this dump. And where we stand on the daily chart for Bitcoin was right in front, I got all these lines here, but right in front of our must-hold level. So I've been highlighting the absolute must-hold level for Bitcoin is 9,324 for me. We bounced off of 9,400, just above that level. And I used that support level for my most recent Litecoin entry, and that was because, again, we were so overextended. RSI levels were crushed. The 4-hour RSI on Bitcoin. Keep in mind, the 4-hour RSI on Bitcoin is still 24. So the oversold 4-hour bounce has not even started yet. So if I were looking at this chart and saying, all right, if the bulls can turn around their momentum on this 4-hour time frame, we could see the bulls bounce to 10,200 pretty easily. So I would be keeping a target in the low $10,000 range if we do break bullish from this 15-minute equilibrium. The hourly time frame was oversold. It's now right at 30. It's cooled off pretty significantly, and it's all about the 15 minutes. So Litecoin, same thing, 15-minute equilibrium pattern. We can draw a higher low of support now. The range on Litecoin is 180.30 cents. Resistance is up at 183.72, and we're right in the middle of that range. Same thing, volume is declining. It's all really normal for equilibrium patterns. After an all-out dump, you look for equilibrium patterns, you look for dropping volume, and then a volume spike to show when the break does occur. 4-hour RSI on Litecoin is still 19.88. So if I were to look at this chart and say, you know, we could bounce on Litecoin and stay in a 4-hour downtrend and still make it up to the low 190s. So the last resistance on the 4-hour was 195.35. So bulls just fine. We're forming inside bars. I shouldn't say bulls just fine, but bulls could see further follow through with the 4-hour RSI so oversold. The hourly chart is no longer oversold. We have 3 hourly inside bars in a row, and we're going to be watching for a break sooner rather than later. So my trading for Litecoin today, I was using the 5-minute time frame, and then I even zoomed into the 2-minute time frame. We'll cover Ethereum here in just a moment, but I was watching Bitcoin on the 2-minute time frame as I could see some more details in terms of the bulls trying to see higher lows and higher highs. So Litecoin on the 5-minute time frame, I played this initial first bounce and locked in a % gain. I started scaling in once things got a little ugly. Fortunately for me, this was the kind of scenario where, you know, I started watching after the dump had already began. If you start watching something and then, you know, the all-out dump begins, it seems more magnified, whereas I jumped in after the dump had already began and said, all right, I'm going to be extra patient here. And the reason for that is because when there is news involved, RSI levels and the dump can be more magnified. And today was a perfect example of that, where all this FUD and the Binance stuff caused a more overextended reaction. We had a volume climax on the 5-minute time frame on the initial bounce, and we bounced from 176.85 to 186. So a nice $10 bounce. Again, I was scaling in. I didn't get filled with all my cash. I kept plenty of cash on the side in case things got really ugly, but I spaced my orders out. I had a buy order at 180.15, another one at 178.15, and that's all that filled on this initial bounce. So I locked in those gains, and I locked them in because the 5-minute time frame on Bitcoin looked a whole lot like a bear flag, and that's what ended up playing out. So this was the bounce that I flipped Litecoin. I said that 5-minute chart looks like a bear flag on Bitcoin. I'm going to lock in this profit and play it safe. And we dumped down to lower lows, confirming that 5-minute bear flag. And then the next entry I made on Litecoin, as soon as we broke to a lower low, I started scaling in again. And that was just because Bitcoin was so overextended at that point, and I knew the daily support of 9,300 was coming up. And when you're so oversold and you're approaching a key support level, it's good to be looking for a potential bounce from it. And at that point, the 15-minute RSI was down almost in the single digits. We had the hourly RSI down in the teens. The 4-hour RSI was almost approaching the teens as well. So those were my reasons for the entry on the second Litecoin trade. And again, I only got filled with maybe half of my cash in my account and played some of the bounce, sold half of it to lock it in, and then reloaded half because I am anticipating the bulls to make a break here. Again, I'm not making any kind of claims we're going to see a bull break or anything like that. I'm saying the odds are going to favor a bull break, and the reason for that is, number one, the FUD has blown over for now, and number two, we have 4-hour RSI still very overextended. The 4-hour bounce has not even started. So those are the reasons that I am looking for continuation on this 15-minute pattern, and I am looking for a bull break. And the reason that I have been adding to my Litecoin position on this consolidation is because it's going to be very clear if it is a bear break, and I will exit my position. And worst case scenario, I will still make profit on today because of my earlier little flips. Again, it's all about risk management, and locking in some profit on my earlier flips has me very comfortable where I'm at, where even if I stop out of my entire position right now, I'm still going to have some small profit on the day because of the clear break where we can use our new higher lows of support. So the risk gets smaller every new higher low that we can play. So for Litecoin right now, it's 180.30, and here are the bulls trying to make a break right now. Let's see if we can get it live. There's a Bitcoin bull break. So Bitcoin has broken the 15-minute pattern bullish. Need to confirm it with a break of 9,947, which is the top of the bounce at this point. Looking at Litecoin coming up on this resistance now, I will begin taking a little bit of Litecoin profit in the upper 180s, and I'll probably scale out, you know, maybe 4 different positions to be able to let it run a little bit. Again, because the 4-hour chart is oversold, we're looking for the bounce to be a little bit more prolonged. Ethereum is not breaking bullish just yet on the 15-minute. Need to break 743.93. I don't suggest playing Ethereum right now unless you're bearish. Ethereum is great to be playing bearish, not great to be playing bullish. And look at the follow-through. We had clear bear signals on the daily time frame for both Litecoin and Ethereum. And again, I don't play bearish because GDAX doesn't have it yet, but this break at 205.20 was a very clear daily equilibrium pattern breaking that played weeks. It lasted weeks to play out. And as soon as 205 breaks 20, or 205.20 breaks, if you go bearish as a swing trade, you just made 10% in 2 days. So the bears had a very clear daily signal on both Ethereum, 836 breaking, and we drop all the way down $100, so over 10% on Ethereum. Again, I play the strongest names bullish, and I play the weakest names bearish when I am trading stocks, and that would be my same kind of strategy that I would use here for cryptocurrencies. So I'm not going to be playing Ethereum bullish, but if I were bearish, I would be looking for bearish entries in Ethereum until there's some kind of catalyst or some reason for the bulls to show up. But right now, 15-minute time frame still intact. Looking for a bull break to follow along with everybody else, and then to break the high of the bounce, 756.77. So not only do we have to break the 15-minute lower high, we have to break the high of the bounce to be confident that the bulls are going to see continuation. And we want to see increasing bull volume now and some follow-through. We still have 6 minutes left in this candlestick, so we are going to see increasing bull volume on this Bitcoin 15-minute candlestick. Have to break the high of the bounce, and it looks like we got an inside bar bull break as well. We'll be watching for a potential hourly MACD overnight. And 4-hour time frame is going to form an inside bar no matter what on all of these big three, with still over 2 hours to go until it closes. But we'll be watching that inside bar on the 4-hour time frame overnight as well. Let's see if Litecoin has broken bullish just yet. Litecoin's had some tough resistance at 184. And I've been watching that ever since the bounce started. 184 has been tough for the bulls to get over. So keep an eye on that resistance level. And again, I cannot stress enough stop losses. There's so many people now on Twitter and wherever that you know, oh, I went out and didn't place a stop loss this one time, or just, you know, there's so many people that are in the red and stuck in these trades when we dump like this because they don't have a stop loss. And I try and tell everybody, and even the people that I'm teaching in person right now, they're having the same issues. And I understand it because I went through it myself, and it took a lot of sick feelings in my stomach before I finally said, all right, if I'm not going to use stop losses, I'm not playing this game. And it gets to a point now where if I make a trade and I don't put a stop loss in, I have this sick feeling of I'm doing something wrong. I need to change something. And I put my stop loss in. So I try and burn it into everybody's head. If you do not have a stop loss in, you should be thinking I'm doing something wrong right now, because essentially that's what the case is. And you can get stuck in a situation like this. So, fortunately, the bulls have a little bit of momentum at this point. I would exit my position if we lose the 15-minute higher low pattern. That's going to be my exit point at this point in this trade. And we'll see if we can make our way over 10,000 on Bitcoin and see a bit more recovery and see these 4-hour RSIs cool off. So, quickie update here. Not going to go much more in depth all about the 15-minute time frame. Just wanted to do it live because I knew that break was coming very shortly. And by the time it uploads this video, it usually takes, 15-minute delay by the time everything gets uploaded. So here we go with Bitcoin. Litecoin needs to break 184 psychological resistance. And Ethereum is a big-time laggard. Can't get any more clear than that. And we've been knowing this for 2 weeks that Ethereum's been the laggard. But, I mean, just to see Litecoin breaking the lower highs, Bitcoin the first to break the lower highs and about to break the high of the bounce, and Ethereum still hasn't broken its last lower high. It's still in the 15-minute equilibrium pattern. I'm going to stay on here just another minute to see if we can break this top of this bounce, which is likely. And then we'll be testing 10,000 psychological resistance. So again, just to recap the reasons that I favored the bottom being in, and we took a poll in the members chat room, and most people thought the bottom wasn't in. A few people thought the bottom was in. For me, it was FUD blowing over, knowing that Binance was going to be releasing some kind of statement sooner rather than later. It was the 4-hour RSI levels. It was the Bitcoin daily support holding. And those were pretty much the 3 major reasons. So I appreciate you all tuning in. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you continue to do good things. This was just a quickie wrap up. I got to go play some volleyball. We'll see you tomorrow.